Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and today we're going to be talking about the premiere of NXT 2.0, the September 14th edition, which had a lot of interesting stuff go down. A lot of what was promoted did not end up happening, or things were changed. There were a lot of surprises, if you want to call them that, a lot of unexpected turn of events. We had a wedding, we have a new look for NXT. There is so much to get into here today. I cannot wait to talk about the show because, like I said, there is going to be so much to talk about. But before we get into everything, I want to welcome each and every single person into the stream. Thank you so much for making the time to come out and check out what I have to say and what everybody here in the chat has to say about the show. I am going to be very curious to get all of your thoughts because, again, there were some things that I necessarily kind of felt very surprised about. When it came to today's show and my overall thoughts on how I feel about NXT 2.0 with this reboot episode, I feel because it is a reboot episode, and no matter what, I know there's going to be people that are going to tune in because they're just curious about what changes are going to be made. And there was a lot of new stuff implemented today on the show. I think because of that, I can't say that I did not like today's show, but I also cannot say that I loved today's show. I loved it, I guess, for what it was as a reboot show, but at the same time, I'm not completely like, I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. I'm very, very in between because there were some things that I was a fan of. There were some new additions that I was a fan of, but then there were things where I was just like, what is going on right now? So we'll break that all down, but I do want to hear your thoughts. So as you guys are watching, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, make sure you guys leave a comment. I will be reading your thoughts. Send in super chats and I will be reading those as well. We're going to kick things off with our first couple of super chats from the night. Let's see what you guys are saying right now because there really is a lot to touch on. But we got our first super chat from Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury. Thank you so much to Flamethrower, who says, can't hang out doing college stuff with my son. I loved that wedding. Well, thank you so much for coming in either way. I hope you're, getting your stuff done that you need to get done. That wedding, I will say, was not horrible. We've seen worse weddings in wrestling. However, I wouldn't say that I completely loved it either. There were some funny moments, which we'll talk about and we'll get into more detail later on. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was fine. It was fine for a wrestling wedding. It was what it was. But thank you so much to Flamethrower for sending that in. We have another super chat. This one is from Billy B. Bad, who says, I really like the Steiner Kid and the Creed brothers. Everything else was freaking weird AF. So Braun Breaker, we're going to have a big discussion about him because from the looks of it, the way that things started on NXT and the way that things ended on NXT, I think we can safely say, based on just that alone, that they definitely are going to push the guy to the moon, all right? And we'll talk a little bit more about his in-ring work, the name change, his background, etc. as we move forward with the show. But I will say, if anybody got the best ends of things here tonight, it was definitely Braun Breaker. And we got another super chat from Christopher Marino, who says NXT 2.0 was the best Raw in years. Christopher, why do you do this to me? I think in terms of whether or not, so NXT used to be this like alternative to like what you were seeing on WWE Raw and what you were seeing on Smackdown. I think it's safe to say it's not necessarily an alternative to that anymore. I do agree with a lot of the comments that I was seeing on social media where people were sort of saying that it was like a light version of Raw or Raw Light or whatever. I do agree in the sense of, I agree with people saying that. Like, I don't completely disagree. Again, this is an entirely new version of NXT that we are seeing. I wouldn't go ahead and say that it's an alternative to what you were seeing on Raw or SmackDown anymore. So thank you for Christopher Marino for sending in that super chat. And let's go through a couple more comments here. We got one from Taylor Cannon. Thank you so much to Taylor, who sends in a super chat and says, it was an okay show, not a fan of the lighting, but really shocked that Ciampa regained the title. Goldie returned home. Really surprised a wedding on WWE TV went uninterrupted. And I will say this, guys, I recently got to interview Tommaso Ciampa probably a couple of months ago, and I cannot be happier for him that he was getting the title. In terms of like before everything went down on the show, when it came to like the predictions and, ever since Samoa Joe announced that he was essentially going to be relinquishing the title, my assumption was that they were either going to have Pete Dunne win, or I legitimately thought that they were going to have LA Knight win. And I know that a lot of people thought they were going to go in that direction because I saw so many people talking about that. And I am surprised with how they kind of went about things with LA Knight here tonight, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I did not expect Tommaso Ciampa to end up winning. And that's not to say that I'm like super happy that they went and chose him. I was honestly just expecting them to either go with Pete Dunne or to go with LA Knight. That was like the two directions I felt most confident that they would probably go into. So when Tommaso Ciampa ended up winning the NXT Championship, I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. Let's do it, man. Tommaso Ciampa's badass. I can't imagine anyone being unhappy about him holding the belt once again. And, when I talked to him in that interview that I did with him, he did talk about the fact that he feels a lot of people forgot that he is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He talked about essentially having a short title reign, wishing he could have done a little bit more with that. And I think that hopefully this is the opportunity for him to go ahead and do that. But either way, the NXT Championship has sort of been bouncing back and forth right now. I really do think that they need a long, steady championship run for the title. They need to have somebody to hold the belt for a good chunk of time, because right now we've been seeing so many different NXT champions that I kind of just want to stick to somebody for a while, have them have a bunch of good matches similar to what Finn Balor was doing. And I can see that definitely being with Tommaso Ciampa for sure. Like, this is his chance to kind of really have that reign that he might want to have. And obviously things are going to be different because the talent is different, but you know what I mean here. We got another super chat. This one is from Air Force Sister 74. Thank you so much to Air Force Sister, who says, not who I picked to win the NXT title, but congrats to Tommaso Ciampa. Goldie is home. Also couldn't help but laugh at Austin Theory bringing in a priest. In walks Damian Priest. So Austin Theory did return here today. And even though like when the way first started, I wasn't necessarily like the biggest fan of Austin Theory or the way, I will say this, they have grown on me. I don't love them every week, but there are certain moments where I'm like, okay, they're funny. This week, today, on today's episode, I thought they had a lot of really good one-liners, which again, we'll get into momentarily. But thank you so much to Air Force Sister 74. And also shout out because we did get to see Damian Priest here tonight. And that was also sort of unexpected because when he said priest, I was legitimately thinking he was going to bring in a priest. Because I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Bring a priest to the wedding, sure. And then it ended up being Damian Priest. So that was pretty hilarious. We got a super chat from Malcolm Mitchell. Thank you so much to Malcolm, who says, reminded me of early NXT before it got cool. They are developing young talent, which is what they're supposed to be doing. Exactly. Like, I do not mind, obviously, them incorporating all of this new, these new faces and these new talents, because there are a lot of people that I thought came across as very impressive here tonight. Some not so much, but some, yes. And I'll get into this name shortly, but in terms of, I do think that they obviously still have to keep, some of your like seasoned or, better workers so that they can go ahead and work with these young talents to help them, get to that next level in their career. So I do not mind them, going after, these athletes and all of that, but at the same time, I do think they need to have a mix of talent, a nice versatile roster with, people that are more seasoned to help some of those people that are coming in not necessarily as seasoned as they should be. I think they need to find a nice balance there. So thank you so much to Malcolm for sending in this super chat. We got another one from WH. Thank you so much to WH, who says, surprising amount of positivity online. Think most of that comes from the fresh faces. Give it a few weeks and that aware wasn't impressed, to be honest. Well, that's the thing. Like, when it comes to these reboot episodes always tend to be I don't know if good is the right word, but they tend to get a more, I would say, positive feedback. And the reason for that is because it's new. Everyone likes new and everyone judges new a lot differently. So reboot episodes usually tend to be, because you're getting so much new stuff and so many fresh stuff, you don't necessarily tend to hate it or really dislike it, but it really is the real test is really how they continue things moving forward. So we will be able to kind of get a better grasp of this new NXT within a couple of weeks, within a couple of months. Like today, we got introduced to so many people, so many talent, so many new faces that we haven't seen before. Where like even I'm like, oh my God, who is this person? I need to know who this person is. What's their name? Oh, I hope I remember their name by the time the stream comes around, because we really did get a lot of those new faces here today. And again, we'll talk about that in a second. But thank you so much to WH. We got another super chat from Patrick Etheridge, who says, with old NXT ending, talk about your favorite moments. So I won't get into this too much because we do got an entire show to cover. But in terms of like my favorite moments for me are really going to the NXT shows and actually experiencing those live, because there's one thing to watch NXT and you go to like the takeovers, for example, go to the takeovers and watching them on TV is like one thing, but getting to experience it like firsthand in person is always like a whole other experience, man. I was there when Shinsuke Nakamura made his debut. Oh, it was such an amazing feeling, and that's one of the ones that really pops into my head. But it really was just the fact that getting to go to a lot of takeovers in person for me was probably definitely a highlight of that. But we'll move on to more about what we had on the show. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right, everyone, let's get into the nitty gritty details of what actually happened on this NXT. So first and foremost, let's talk about this new set. So we've all seen the new colors. We've seen that for a while. They had been teasing, a sort of a preview, a nice little sketch that we were getting to see for a couple of weeks there as they were promoting this new NXT 2.0. And I will say this, all right? I think that when I first saw the very colorful branding of NXT, I wasn't necessarily in love with it. I wasn't in love with it just because I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. I love the edgy NXT. I love the vision that Triple H had with the black and the gold and the skulls and the rock music and the metal music. Even though that's not really my style, I didn't care. I loved that like edgy aspect of the show because it gave this very like cool underground feel where you're going to go to these NXT shows and you're going to watch these wrestling matches that are, out of this world, that really set the bar for what good wrestling is, right? So that's what I got from that. Now, when you move on to like these bright colors and all of this, it screams something differently. It doesn't necessarily scream, like you have a different perspective of it. It doesn't feel like that same, underground feeling, which in a way, I'm assuming that's what they wanted to get rid of and incorporate more of this like open space, which even though I did not like it in the beginning, I can't say I didn't like it this time around. I know somebody said earlier that they didn't like the lights that they were seeing. I did like it. So they had more of an open space so you can actually see the people, which I think is a plus. I liked that because for the most part with the old NXT set, you really couldn't see very many people. And then, obviously everybody's wearing their masks, so you see even less and it's dark and, you have the black barricade, then you have the chain link fence, you have the plexiglass, you have all of these things going on, so you really don't get to see much of what's going on with the audience. So this time they really did open that up, and instead of having that black barricade, they had a clear barricade on there, so you can literally see people like full body. Like if you're in the front row, you're seeing the person's entire body. And I actually really like that. But the thing that I like the most, and somebody said they didn't like this, but I did, and that was sort of the the lighting that you were seeing up against the walls, I was a fan of that. I thought that it gave it a really nice like vibe. I was feeling it. And then for every single entrance, they would, switch up the lights to, to play with the person's theme, to go along with the person's character, to go along with their Titantron and all of that. So I did dig that very much. As for the actual stage itself, it looked fine. I was cool with that, but it was more so of the open space and the colors that I thought that I thought I wasn't going to like it, and I ended up liking it much more than I expected to. So I will say this, I'm a fan of what they're doing right now with this new setup, and it is going to take a while to get used to, and it is going to, I don't know. So it seems like now they're officially branding NXT as NXT 2.0. Like I wasn't sure if that was going to be like the official name moving forward, or if that was just for tonight. Like I really was not sure about that, but it kind of seems like that's what we're doing. So it's going to take a second to be referring to NXT as NXT 2.0, but we're getting there. We got a super chat from Michael Raleigh. Thank you so much to Michael, who says, I no longer watch WWE, and coming back to this new show was incredibly confusing. It was cool to see Tommaso win. Sadly for me, Gaylord jokes make me feel like I'm not welcome. Thank you for the show, Denise. So that is one of the things that I don't know. I don't necessarily know what the and well, right now I'm seeing the feedback from Michael Raleigh, but they did essentially give Dexter Lumis his middle name as Gaylord, and it immediately for me took me back to the movie Meet the Parents, because I believe that's essentially Ben Stiller's character, if I remember correctly. So my brain went automatically there. However, I can see why people would not necessarily feel that comfortable with that, based on some of the reactions that we're getting right now. I do not know if everybody felt this way, but it was kind of obvious that they wanted to give them a middle name that was very unexpected, I guess you can say. But thank you so much to Michael for sending in your thoughts, your honest opinions, and a super chat here. I really appreciate that as well. And okay, I'm going to go through a couple more comments here. I'm going to try to get a couple. Sam3 says, how do you milk a cat? I love it. If you watch Meet the Parents, you guys will get this comment. That's one of my favorite comedy movies. But yes, okay, so Ultimate Bulldog points out that Gaylord is a Meet the Parents reference. But again, it could be, we know why they did it in the movie. So then doing it here on the show, it essentially correlates to the exact same thing, which is sort of, I don't even know what to say, because I really don't. Picking my wording here, guys. Picking my wordings here. And let's go ahead and move on. But yeah, okay. It turns out a lot of people didn't like this. This one is from Advi, who says that the Gaylord middle name kind of bothered him. Just looks tacky. Brandon says, oh, wow, yikes. Bad choice for a middle name. And so there you go. So now we know how some people feel about this. Yeah, it's not necessarily like, yeah, I would have probably chosen a different middle name, but we'll get to the wedding in just a second. So again, the pros of the new setup: open space. We get to actually see the people. I did like the lighting, and they are really sticking to this very, very colorful branding. But let's go ahead and get into the first match, which was, when I looked at everything that was being promoted for this show, and then this match happened, I just thought, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, okay? So we had LA Knight, who has been promoted to be in this, fatal four-way match that ended up turning into the end for the NXT Championship. So by the time this show started, we all knew that there was a huge chance that LA Knight would possibly be becoming NXT Champion. So when he was placed in this match, in this opening match with Braun Breaker, I was like, why would you have LA Knight in another match when he's been so heavily promoted going into this fatal four-way match that, again, is for the vacant NXT Championship? So this, to me, did not make sense to do this match, okay? Now, it made even less sense. And I mean, now, okay, in hindsight, now that I'm seeing the way that things are playing out, I get why they did what they did. But at this point in the show, it did not make sense to have LA Knight. Okay, it didn't make sense for them to have this match in the first place. And it didn't make sense to have LA Knights lose. So you guys know I'm not necessarily the world's biggest LA Knight fan. You guys know that. Everybody knows my thoughts on all of that. But point blank, the guy is scheduled to be in a fatal four-way match for the NXT Championship, and you have him lose in the opening match that didn't even have to happen in the first place. That legitimately did not make any sense to me at all. At all. I was completely like, I felt bad, honestly. And you guys know I'm not the biggest LA Knight fan. I felt bad for him in this situation. I was like, damn, bro. Like, I would not be in the night if this was me, if this happened to me, Denise Salcedo, the wrestler, this happened to me on the show, I would not feel that great about my future moving forward with the brands. Like, I would just be like, oh man, like, oh dang, like this is not good for me. But anyways, on the positive side, so Braun Breaker, and apparently it's Breaker with a double K. I was not aware of that. But anyway, so Braun Breaker, man, I mentioned this at the top of the stream, but he is somebody that they definitely see the qualities in him, and they are definitely gonna be pushing him. So he has this. So first of all, let me just give a quick background. So he is Scott Steiner's nephew. He is Rick Steiner's son, and his name, Rex Steiner, is the name that he really legitimately should have gone with. I do not like that they changed his name to Braun Breaker. When you have a name like Rex Steiner, that to me is a killer name. And I think they should have kept the Steiner last name, okay? Because the Steiners were some of the most terrifying men in the history of wrestling. So having the Steiner name, I think, is definitely a huge positive. But the fact that they kind of like took that away and gave him the name Braun Breaker, to me, it sounds too cartoonish. Like, I'm gonna break you. It's too cartoonish. I wish they would have stuck with that name. And then Braun, I didn't realize that they were gonna spell it Bron. I was also thinking like Braun Strowman. Anyways, so the name, I would have stuck with Rex Steiner. They didn't, but whatever. Now we're getting Braun Breaker, okay? Now, I need to put over Braun Breaker. I need to put him over because this match, it wasn't like the greatest match by any means, right? That's not the point. The point that I want to get at here is that he really showed a lot of what, maybe not a lot, but he showed a lot of what he can do, okay? We did get to see a lot of him. We saw a lot of his dad's quality in his wrestling, in his in-ring wrestling. We saw a lot of that by the way that he moves, simply by the way that he moves in the ring. You saw a lot of explosiveness when it came to his suplexes. You saw those short arm clotheslines. All of that really, really screams, his father. So that was really awesome to see. I was a fan of that, and I thought that he came off as impressive. In the end, he ended up winning with a gorilla press slam and turned it into a power slam for the win. And again, good for him, but I just thought that it was absolutely unexpected that they had him in this match with LA Knight, who again was in the title match and then ended up losing. We'll talk more about Braun Breaker towards the end of NXT because there is a closing segment with him in it, which is going to clearly lead to something big. But overall, I would say this was a positive night for Braun Breaker. And it's going to take me a second because every time I say Braun, I keep wanting to say Braun Strowman. So it's going to take me a second there to get used to that. And let's see what comments we got here. We got a super chat from Keith Duran. Thank you so much to Keith, who says, Steiner looked great. I just wish he kept the name, embraced the legacy, especially if he's coming out to the music and ring gear. There you go. Key words here, embrace the legacy. Like, that would be so awesome for you. That's something, I would say that's something you'd want to promote, promote for him, but I don't know why they decided to change the name, but it is what it is, guys. We don't make the decisions. Thank you so much to Keith Duran for sending in this super chat. I really, really appreciate it. We got another super chat from Mark Warburton, who says, nothing really to add here, just sending you a super chat to support your awesome content. Enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you for tuning in, sending in the super chat. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show. Like, even though there were things that I would have done differently, there's a lot to talk about here tonight. So at least that makes me happy, because there's been shows where I'm like, oh, I got to reach and I got to find stuff to talk about. Like, there isn't much to work with here tonight. But tonight they definitely gave us a lot to work with. So thank you so much to Mark for sending in this super chat. So I thank you for that as well. And let me go through a couple more comments here. This one is from Hector Rodriguez, who says, it's basically a Shaw Guerrero, Raquel Diaz situation. Basically, if he failed under the Steiner name, it would make the work of his father and uncle look bad. I don't think so, but yeah, I get what you're saying and why they probably did it. Brandon says he's got that Steiner energy. I like that. Ultimate Bulldog also points out that he wished that they would have just kept the name. Let's see what else we got here. And I'm going to go through a couple more comments. This one's from Christopher, who says maybe Braun didn't want to use the Rex Steiner name as his wrestling name because of the copyright, just in case he gets released in the future. I'm going to go through a couple more comments here. And all right. This one is from Jake Jones, who says, honestly, debuting him with the Steiner name gives him way more credibility to be in that fatal four-way over Von Wagner. Not only that, so let's say they would have given him the Steiner name, right? And let's say they would have ended up putting him in that fatal four-way match. They would have had credibility just with the simple fact that he defeated LA Knight. Hell, you could have named him Bob the Builder. The fact that he beat LA Knight in this opening match, a guy who was going to be in the fatal four-way. And if you were going to have I don't know why they replaced Kyle O'Reilly in this match. I legitimately have no idea. But if that was the plan, then you might as well have put Braun Breaker in this match. He beat the guy who was competing for the belt. Why would you put Vaughn in there? Why? You could have literally done this with Braun. Now I get it, because, at the end, and I'll just might as well skip to this now because we brought it up. But in the end, we see him essentially, have this interaction with Tommaso Ciampa, the new NXT champion. So I get that they're teasing that for the future, but it just did not. And I feel bad for Vaughn. I really do feel bad for Vaughn. It's not his fault. He was put in that situation. Okay. But it was not the greatest idea to put Vaughn in there. I would have just accepted a triple threat match. It was not a good idea to have Vaughn in there. And I feel bad for Vaughn. And we'll talk more about Vaughn later on there. But God, guys. All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm going to go through. Oh, we got another super chat. Thank you so much to Chris Ludek, who says, I won't call Braun Breaker a Steiner till he demonstrates his math intellect like his Uncle Scott, because as you know, numbers don't lie and they spell disaster for you. Hell yeah, man. Bring in that Steiner math. I am here for that. And Patrick points out that Bob the Builder to NXT confirmed. Hell yeah, Bob the Builder coming to NXT. And let's see what else we got here. I'm going to go through a couple more here. And this one is from A. Semper, who says, first time I actually watched NXT tonight, never before. But WWE did their job. They advertised right to get me to tune into both Raw and NXT this week. They got me. I think they did do a good job of promoting NXT, especially with the changes. People were going to want to tune in, and they really stacked the show. And I know we were supposed to get Frankie Monet and Raquel. I don't know why they took that match out, but they did. I don't know why, but they did. But even then, I was looking forward to that match. I was really looking forward to that fatal four-way match, even before I knew it was going to be for the NXT Championship, even before Samoa Joe relinquished that NXT title, even before all of that, when it was just a contenders match, I was still looking forward to it. I was still looking forward to it. What else? Oh yeah, the Index wedding. I knew that was going to be, crazy or whatever, weird, but I was still I was here to watch train wrecks. I was okay with that. So they did do a good job of promoting NXT. And then on top of that, you have all of the new stuff going on there. And we got a smart man in here, Walter Johnson, who says, Denise is telling the truth. Denise always tells the truth. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I do feel bad for Vaughn, and we're going to get a lot of those Vaughn comments later on, but we'll get there. Let's move on, everybody. So that was literally just the opening match, and already I was questioning things here. Then we had a really quick match here. This was Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs versus Imperium. There's really not much to say about this match other than it was a quick match. I didn't think it was good. This was probably my least favorite thing that I saw on NXT here today. Imperium ended up getting the win, but all I do have to say is that Imperium really is Imperium is a positive here, and I hope that they don't decide to get rid of Imperium because, like I said, if you're going to be bringing in all of these new talents that aren't necessarily at the in-ring level that they, hope to be, you got to have workers like Imperium. You got to have workers like them to help them just, have better matches. So there you go. That's pretty much all I want to get at here. But let's move on because after this, we have the in-ring debut of Hit Row's B-Fab. And I'm very curious to see what people are going to say about this because I didn't think that. Okay, so I'll start off by saying this. I really liked that promo that they did before the match where they were really just putting over B-Fab for, being fabulous and all of that. I really dig that. I liked it especially too because they had the nice, music playing in the background. So it really set the mood, really set a nice vibe. I was a fan of that. But the match itself was not great. It was not great at all. This was not NXT caliber wrestling, okay? It was not that great. And so you have Katrina Cortez. So Katrina Cortez is from Chile, and I don't know much about her, but what I do know and what I have heard from her, about her is that she has a good reputation for being a fast learner. All right. That is what I've heard in regards to Katrina. She has a good reputation for being a fast learner. I know that she did indies in both Chile and Mexico. So she did do the independence there. But in terms of B-Fab, she is just she's just too green right now, guys. She's just too green. She just needs more work in the ring, and she just needs to be in there with people that can help her be a better version, a better wrestler, because right now she's just not there yet. So this was, unfortunately, instead of it being an impactful in-ring debut, and instead of them essentially, hiding some of the things that she's not necessarily good at yet, they really kind of exposed that instead, and it was very obvious that it was just not a good in-ring debut. It should have been a lot better. So I will say that. Let's see what else we got here, guys. And this is from Jeremy Jimenez, who says that B-Fab needs more work, but I think she has potential. Dude, everybody has potential. A lot of people have potential. It's just about going in there, doing the matches, having the matches, getting in there with people that are a lot better than you so that you can get better. That's the only way. That is the only way to get better. Bloody Blue says a lot of green talent on the show. Promos definitely need work to give them more time at the PC before putting them on TV. I do agree with that. I do agree. I mean, I don't know at this point how much training B-Fab has had, but I definitely would have waited just a little bit before putting this match out there because it did not look good. It did not look good. Palmy Wrestling says this match really didn't show B-Fab in a positive light. Also, the crowd was hella annoying with the Hit Row chants. I didn't really notice that. I didn't mind. I feel like the crowd could chant whatever they want. Like, that's my opinion. Like, if you pay your money to go to a show, you can chant whatever you want, man. But it did not put her in a positive light. I think they could have found a way to maybe protect her just a little bit more there. But we got a super chat from Manuel Cifuentes. Thank you so much to Manuel, who says, "Hey Denise, missed the East Coast feed, but able to watch the West Coast feed on USA. Honestly, is it worth watching, or should I just watch tomorrow on Hulu?" Well, I mean, if you want to see all of the changes that are being made on NXT, and if you were curious about what those changes are and you want to know now, I would suggest watch it now. But am I going to say, oh, this is a show that you must watch tonight? No, you can wait until tomorrow. You can listen to my review, check out what you feel sounds good, and you can go ahead and pick out what you want to watch next tomorrow. I wouldn't necessarily be like, you got to go right now to go watch. But thank you so much for sending in a super chat here. We got another one from Billy B. Bad, who says, not wrestling related, but rip Norm Macdonald. To me, he was one of the funniest guys in the world. Yeah, honestly, I saw that news today, and man, just sending prayers and love to his friends and family. I hate seeing news like this, guys. Man, it sucks to see stuff like this. So yeah, rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. Macdonald, I hope. Yeah, rest in peace. And I always have a really hard time transitioning back into the wrestling when we come from like real life stuff. So pardon my transition back into the show. Let's see what else we got here. This one is from Sheev McQueen, who says BFAB. Oh, okay. Oh, Sheev McQueen has a totally different opinion. Says BFAB's potential is not looking basically too great if she was bad this early on. No, I do think that the potential is always there. You just got to be in there with the right people. But I don't want to say that. I don't want to say you've got to be in there with the right people, because I don't want to take anything away from Katrina. I really don't. But obviously, you just got to be in there more consistently with, women that can work a lot better than you, so that you can get better. So yeah, that's pretty much the best thing that I have. That's the best thing that I can say. And let's see what else we got here. And I'm going to go through a couple more comments here. Madav wants to know if I'm jumping off a bridge for NXT. Where did I say that? Was that on the Rob Post show? I think I was saying that on the Rob Post show. That was pretty funny. And all right, guys, I'm going to go through a couple more comments here. And this one is from Troy Butler, who says he loves BFAB on the mic. Her overall presentation just needs, her overall presentation with her in-ring work does need to get better. But yes, her mic stuff is great. She looks great. She's got all the tools. They just need to sharpen those tools. So yeah, good stuff there. All right, guys, here we go. I'm going to move on to the next topic here. Really quickly, before the wedding, we have a pretty funny backstage segment that includes the return of Austin Theory to NXT. And this one is Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, Odyssey Jones. They're all dressed just like Dexter Lumis, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And then you have Austin Theory, who comes back, and Johnny Gargano looks at him and he says, "I thought you ran away." And Austin Theory just says, "I did run away." And that was kind of like the end of that. But before that, Austin Theory brings in a priest. He says, "I got a priest." And they're like, "Yeah." He opens the door and it's Damian Priest. Damian Priest walks in through that door. So that was funny. Damian Priest just basically says he's there for the drinks. He's there to party. And Cameron Grimes is essentially the one who's paying for all of this. So I thought it was pretty funny. I like this. I thought that was good stuff there. And alrighty, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on here. We have a comment from Troy who says, Austin Theory is comedy gold, in my opinion. I lost it when he said we're in a ring silly when Gargano asked for the rings. Yeah, later on in the wedding, there's a moment where Johnny Gargano is like looking for the rings and he's like, "Where's the rings?" And he's asking Austin Theory, and Austin Theory is like, "We're in a ring, silly." I was like, oh my God, it's dumb comedy, but I laughed. I laughed. I'm guilty of laughing here. Thank you so much to Troy Butler for also sending in this comment. Alrighty, guys. So here we go. Let's get into this next portion of NXT. And here's the thing. I'm very curious as to where people are going to land on this one here. I feel that we're going to be 50-50 when it comes to this. And what we have next is Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes is essentially talking about winning the NXT Breakout Tournament. So if you guys remember when this whole thing went down, the NXT Breakout Tournament, one of my ideas was, he's obviously not going to win the NXT Championship right now, going for the NXT North American title. It's too predictable, right? I was saying that he should probably, team up with Odyssey Jones and that they should go for the NXT Tag Team titles. That was one of the ideas that I had pitched. Well, I didn't realize I may be onto something, but in a different direction. So it looks like Carmelo Hayes is now essentially pairing himself up with Trick Williams. So Trick Williams is another person on the roster here today that I really did not know who he was or what his deal was or anything. So he was completely new to me. But I did learn that he is a former college football player from South Carolina, and also he apparently, when he was cut from the Eagles, he ended up going to CCW to actually learn how to wrestle. So a lot of the talents that WWE is getting right now, they're essentially learning a lot of the foundations of wrestling in WWE. But Trick Williams is not somebody who's learning his foundations from WWE. He did go to CCW and, get some stuff done there. He did do learning there. But anyways, so he comes into this. He's paired up here with Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes basically says that, they're going to be, teaming together. Whatever he does, Trick Williams will be coming along with him. All right, great. Trick Williams takes the mic. And I got to say, I know a lot of the criticisms of him right now on social media were that they couldn't really understand what he was saying. There are people saying that, his promo was this and that it wasn't that great, etc. I get the criticisms from that side of the argument. And I do think that his promo could have been a little bit more, I don't know, maybe clear and concise. I do get all of that. And I do get that argument. However, I do want to stress that I was a fan of him on the mic. And the reason for that is, I don't care. He could say, I know there were some people saying oh, he probably forgot his lines or something, whatever. The point is, though, why I was a fan of his work on the mic is because he had presence. The guy had presence. The guy had charisma. And maybe his promo wasn't perfect here tonight, but I will take that over anybody, because there are people that cut promos and they're saying a bunch of stuff, but they got no charisma and everything they're saying falls flat. I didn't feel that way with Trick Williams. When I was listening to him talk, I was so into it. I was like, hell yeah, dude. I'm feeling your energy and the way that he fed off with Carmelo Hayes. And so even after all of this, so he finishes cutting his promo, right? They're leaving, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, and then we see Duke Hudson coming out, and essentially he walks right in between them, and I think they bump shoulders or something like that. But this pisses off Trick Williams. Trick Williams gets into the ring and essentially just lays a massive kick on Duke Hudson. So he starts attacking Duke Hudson, and then Carmelo Hayes gets in the ring, and they both start to double team on Duke Hudson. I was a fan of this. I really, really felt that with the charisma and with the energy and the personality that we got from Trick Williams and mixed in with Carmelo Hayes, I really do think that they are going to be a main roster act pretty soon. They got way too much charisma to not be considered for that main roster. The second I saw them together, even after the attack, that was the first thing that dawned on me. So I will say I am a fan of Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes working together. I thought that this was the right call to make for both of these guys. So now, send in your thoughts. How did you guys feel about Trick Williams and his promo? Obviously, you guys have already seen a lot more of Carmelo Hayes, since we've been seeing him a lot more on NXT, winner of the NXT Breakout Tournament. What do you guys think of this pairing? So let's go ahead and see what we got here. All right, I'm going to go through a couple of comments. This one is from Grande Hero, who says, he hated this promo and it didn't make sense. And then let's see, we got a lot of people that were basically saying that. This one is from Christopher, who says Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are going to be great together. El Professor Junior 88 says, it feels like he was disconnected with the scripted lines and his delivery. Pelmy Wrestling says Trick Williams has the rare combination of charismatic but still a bad promo. Mike says he reminded him of a Leo Rush. See, I was a fan, and when I started seeing a lot of these negative comments on Twitter, I do think that even though there were some portions of it that were rusty, I'm not going to disregard him. I think personality is personality at the end of the day, and I think he has personality. And let's see what else we got here, guys. And this one is from Troy, who says, I love the version of Mello Hayes with Trick. Just would like to see a bit more depth in their motivation. So they just got started, so I'm going to give them time. I think that within time, they will get there. they will definitely get there. And I'm going to go through a couple more comments, and I think I got mostly everything. If I missed your comment, please feel free to send it in again, and I will get through there in a second, guys. All right, and all right, cool. We're going to go ahead and move on then. All right, before I do, I just want to remind everybody, though, that I will be back tomorrow for AEW Dynamite coverage. That is my most popular show of the week. So if you guys want to come out and hang out and talk about Dynamite, we can definitely do that. That's going to be tomorrow, immediately after AEW Dynamite wraps. And then this Friday, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to be here for SmackDown Rampage coverage like I normally am. I am going to be ring announcing at GCW because they're going to be here in Los Angeles. And so I will be doing that. So instead, I am going to be doing a live Q&A earlier on Friday. So at an earlier time slot, I forget what time. I think it's 1:30. Yeah, I think at 1:30. You can double check on YouTube. The stream is already scheduled, but I will be going live to do a Q&A. So if you guys want to come in and just chat and ask whatever it is that you've ever wanted to ask, that is the place to do it. I will be doing that on Friday to make up for my SmackDown Rampage stream. So once again, tomorrow I'll be here for Dynamite, and then Friday I'll be here to do a live Q&A, and then the following week I will be back to my normal schedule of NXT, AEW, and SmackDown and AEW. So we'll get through all of that. All right. And let's go ahead and move on. So after this, we got Casey and Kaden versus JC, Jane, and Gigi Dolan. That's what it was supposed to be, a tag team match. But instead, Mandy Rose comes out and attacks Casey and Kaden. So it turns into a DQ. She reveals her brown hair. That is right. Mandy Rose is now a brunette. She looks absolutely gorgeous. And so this ends up being a... wait, hold on. I've almost skipped a big important portion of this. So we get the reveal. Mandy Rose comes out. She's a brunette now, but Saray also comes out to help out Casey and Kaden, who are outnumbered. So then you have Casey, Kaden, Saray versus JC, Gigi, and Mandy. So this becomes a 6-woman tag. And I gotta say, this was a fun match. We saw a really nice missile drop kick from Saray to Gigi Dolan, and then we end up, get a lot of back and forth. We see a very feisty version of Mandy Rose, and I have to say that I am feeling this new version of her. She is standing out so much more on NXT than she was on Raw. I'm a fan of this new version of Mandy Rose. So Mandy Rose ends up getting the win after she hits Kaden with a knee to the jaw, which looked really impressive as well, and that's how she was able to get the win for her team. So I was a fan of this, guys. I really was a fan of this. And let's see what else we got here. I'm going to go through a couple more comments. Let me know what you guys thought about Mandy Rose, brunette Mandy Rose, and what she's doing now with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. So let's see some thoughts here. We got people basically saying they like Mandy as a brunette. This one's from Troy, who says he loves Mandy's new faction. They have such a presence. They do. They're finding their footing more so each and every single week, and it is becoming pretty noticeable. I am liking this as well. And Raymond Croso says NXT suits Mandy well. It does. I thought when she first moved on over to NXT, I thought, oh, this is not going to be a good thing for her. I just didn't think that she was going to necessarily thrive. I felt like she was more of like a main roster act, right? But now everything that she's been doing so far, after all of the weirdness, because it was a little bit weird the way that they were setting up this, Power Girl group. It did take a while to really take off, but now that they've officially really gotten, the wheels turning, you really start to feel like, I'm really starting to feel like they're actually doing a good job with Mandy. And I love brunette Mandy. I'm liking this so much more. Not just because of the look, but the attitude. She's coming in with an attitude, and I am here for that. I'm so here for that. And let's see what else we got here. Advi says Mandy has her own absolution now. And this one is from Pomi, who says they enjoyed the match, but why even bother with ending the original match with a DQ? They could have given given it more time by booking the 6-woman tag match from the beginning. I didn't mind it so much. I was okay with that because they got to it really quick. It wasn't like it was like a 5-minute match that then turned into the 6-woman tag. No, I think they got to it quick enough. So I didn't mind this whatsoever, honestly. I really, really didn't. Christopher Marino says, it was so nice seeing Mandy actually wrestle instead of whatever she was doing on Raw. Well, on Raw with her and Dana, they had a potential for a fun women's tag team between the both of them, but they kind of basically booked them like cowards. They had them backing out of matches. They had them in these pointless vignettes, not like these pointless backstage segments, where they were having nonsense conversations. And it really didn't hurt that they had them essentially walking out of their matches like cowards. Like that did not work whatsoever. And I feel bad for Dana because now Dana really hasn't done anything, like really nothing. So at least Mandy is finding her footing on NXT. And from the looks of it, she's making it work. So I'm feeling it right now, guys. I'm definitely feeling it. Alrighty, here we go. Let's move into, all right, we got still a couple more things to talk about. Let's jump into... So I also need to mention that it was during this match that Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland attacked Kyle O'Reilly. They essentially did like a small screen while the women's match was going on, and they showed this attack. I had no idea that it was going to lead to them taking out Kyle O'Reilly from this match. It was then after this that it was announced that Von Wagner, who's known as Cal Bloom, son of Wayne Bloom, better known to most people as Bo from the Beverly Brothers. So this was unexpected to have Von added to this match. Completely unexpected. I kind of already went on a rant about that early on, but this is the point of the show where they essentially made that announcement there. But let's get into this because afterwards we had a quick squash match between Ridge Holland. He defeated Drake Maverick. Really nothing much to say there other than a quick squash and a good win for Ridge Holland, if you want to call it a good win. I guess a win is a win, so good for Ridge Holland there. But we do got a super chat. This one is from Crifter C, who says, after the announcement, I was like, who the hell is Von Wagner? Lo siento, but it should have been Cameron Grimes. He deserves it more, at least. A lot of people deserved it more. A lot of people. I feel so bad for Von, but they put him in a really unlikable situation where the poor guy comes out very, very bland, no sizzle, no pep in his step. Oh, God. Felt so bad for him. We'll talk more about that later. Pomi Wrestling does point out that it was the most basic backstage assault ever. It was. I know you were saying, Denise, he was attacked from behind and you should have known he was going to be taken out of this match. The attack wasn't anything extreme. I wasn't expecting for the guy to be taken out of the match. He could have came in and been, not at his full potential. He could have wrestled this match not 100%. They could have told that story. I would have been okay with that story. But no, they went an entirely different direction with that. It was a very basic attack. I have to agree with that. Very, very basic attack there. And let's see what else we got here. This one's from Jake Jones, who says that decision kind of killed the Regal character. Feels like the only bad decision he's ever made. Yeah, William Regal doesn't make very bad decisions very often. He's not like Sonya and Adam Pearce, who are just always constantly making these really silly decisions on Raw and SmackDown. That's not the case with William Regal. I would say for the most part, he's a trusted person in charge. So yeah, this was not, and they could have even done some sort of really good explanation to have Vaughn in this. They didn't even give like a good reasoning. Fool me, give me a fake reason. It was just more of, hey, Vaughn, you're in this match now. Great, fantastic. Oh, man, I feel really bad for him, though. I really do feel bad for him. All right, and here we go. After this, we had a vignette for a new talent, Tony D'Angelo. And essentially, he's walking the streets of Chicago. And he says he's an amateur wrestler from Buffalo. And he says that there was no money in amateur wrestling, but there is money to be made in NXT. So that was a quick vignette. So somebody to look forward to, Tony D'Angelo. So I guess we'll be seeing more of him in the coming weeks. After this, somebody we definitely wanted to see more of in the coming weeks, we had the Creed brothers in action. And I'm going to need the chat here, guys. I'm going to need the chat here because they didn't even announce who the Creed brothers were wrestling against. Okay, if anybody got their names, please send them in because they didn't even do a nameplate for these guys, nothing. So I felt completely clueless. But either way, that's not even the point. The point of this match was that I'm a fan of the Creed brothers. I've been a fan of the Creed brothers since last week when we saw them make their debut. Explosive guys, really liking both Brutus and Julius. Love the way that they essentially hype each other up by slapping each other across the face. They ended up getting the win after Julius hit a killer clothesline. Good stuff there. After this, Malcolm Bivens essentially announces that Ivy Nile is now a part of the Diamond Mine. So the Diamond Mine is growing, is advancing. I'm liking it. But really, the Creed brothers are the reason why I'm really genuinely liking the Diamond Mine now, because I wasn't a fan of the Diamond Mine before. I'm a fan now. Literally just because of the Creed brothers. Like, they are some of my favorite new faces that we are seeing here on NXT. And kudos for Ivy Nile. She looks impressive. I don't know much about her either, but I'm really excited to just based on the way she looks, I'm excited to see what we're going to get from her. And let's see what else we got here. And someone said they did show the nameplate. I did not see their nameplate at all. Okay, Pomi says it was Dan Jarman and Trevor Skelly. Okay, thank you so much. I always knew there's always somebody who has the answers here, guys. Always somebody who has the answers. Apparently, I missed it. All right, well, we got a super chat from Brandon who says, I mean, it doesn't really matter who the Creed brothers face. It just doesn't matter. Oh, I feel so bad. I don't want to say that because I'm sure, like, in a couple of weeks, I'll probably be talking more about these people. And I don't want to be like, oh yeah, your first match didn't really matter. I didn't want to do that to them either. But yeah, right now we all just want to see the Creed brothers kick some ass. And that's what we want to see. That's what I want to get. So big thumbs up to the Creed brothers. I can't imagine somebody not being a fan of the Creed brothers. Cameron Mumford says that Wade described their opponents very well. 2 meat puppets. Oh, man. Let's see what else we got here, guys. I'm going to go through a couple more comments. This one's from Devin, who says that Ivy Nile looks like she can be a killer. A really great physique. Really good look. I know why she is there. All righty, and let's go ahead and move on. So, we do have an announcement that next week for the Cruiserweight title, Kushida versus Roderick Strong. So that's going to be next week. Now we got 2 more segments to talk about. So let's get into that fatal 4-way for the NXT Championship. Von Wagner, very, very bland. Poor guy. Should not have been put in this position. Was put in this position. He could have been put in the spot and maybe shown something, but I feel bad to say, but I didn't really get anything from him here. He came across as just any ordinary wrestler, just your random ordinary wrestler, just not ready for this spot whatsoever, which is why I do feel bad for him. And people all over social media were like, what the hell? Like, why? It was not a good thing for him. So I did feel bad. Again, very, very vanilla. We had LA Knight get the jobber entrance, didn't even get an entrance and lost the opening match that he had today with Braun Breaker. So not looking good for LA Knight. And so I was thinking to myself, all right, so it's clear that they're going to have Pete Dunne win. I was like, it's clear. Sean Ross Sapp just put out that, report about him signing for an additional 3 years with NXT. So I was like, all right, they're going to reward him. It's going to be Pete Dunne. Great. Thumbs up. But it ended up being Tommaso Ciampa. I was so surprised. I was so happy for him, but I was surprised. But I will say this, even though this match was fun, it was a fun match, but it was a fun match when Pete Dunne and Ciampa were going at it together in the ring. That, for me, was when it really felt like a fun match. But and I hate to say this, but because Von Wagner replaced Kyle O'Reilly, because this could have been a very fun competitive match with Kyle O'Reilly, LA Knight, even LA Knight, Ciampa and Pete Dunne, it kind of, for me, lessened the win. Even though I was happy to see Ciampa win, it kind of took away from that because it didn't really feel like a match where it wasn't the caliber of where you would say, oh my God, after that long, hard battle, he finally won. Oh my God, this is great. I did not feel that way. It was more so of, yay, Ciampa's the champion, cool. But the match itself, I don't necessarily think that many people were going, oh my God, what a win for Tommaso Ciampa. It wasn't that. So for me, I do think that because of the replacement and them not giving this match more time and just more appreciation, I do think that the win could have felt a lot stronger. But there you go. He ends up pinning Wagner. Makes sense. Poor Vaughn. I feel bad. Oh, I feel so bad. All right. And let's see what else we got here. Lance Davis just basically pointing out the LA Knight's getting buried. I do feel bad for him too. Well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that sucks. All right. And okay, let's see if we got any more. People are just celebrating that Goldie is home. Goldie is home, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but let's get into a couple more comments and then I'll get into the actual wedding here. And this one is from Lenny Banner, who believes that Kyle O'Reilly beats Adam Cole. Oh, no, he says Kyle O'Reilly beat Adam Cole at TakeOver. Yes. Gets taken out of the match, gets replaced. Yeah, it's so weird. And that's the thing. It's like Adam Cole stayed to essentially put Kyle O'Reilly, over. And so Kyle O'Reilly gets this win on Adam Cole. But now it's like you're left with nothing. Like, well, what do you get from that? What's next for him? I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, they need to make sure that that wasn't a wasted effort there. So we'll see what happens there. Brandon says, if you take away a great worker like O'Reilly and insert Wagner, that match is going to suffer a bit. It's simple addition and subtraction. Yep. We got a comment from a TJ09 Killer who says, felt like they did the same as when Cross got injured. They went with a safe choice rather than someone with a long story ready. This is true. They could have gone with Pete Dunne a long time ago. They could have easily had Karrion Kross lose that fatal 5-way match. They could have had any of those other guys win that match, and that person could have still been champion from now on, but then they decided to go in an entirely different route. It's very obvious that there was a lot of quick decisions that were made versus more of, again, that long-term storytelling stuff. Pomi Wrestling says they might as well turn Von Wagner heel next week. Him getting immediate world title match already gives the vibe of company's next pet project, kind of like early Roman Reigns. Granzi Hero wants to know if Wagner accidentally busted open LA Knight. I do not know when LA Knight got busted open. That one for me kind of sprung out of nowhere. I did not even notice when he got busted open. I did not even notice when exactly that happened, but he was busted open. Bleeding buckets. Lenny Banner says LA Knight lost the opener, yet kept his spot in the title match. This makes no sense. I think this sends a really bad message, all told. Oh, Lenny, if you weren't here for the opening of the show, rewind, because I kind of went off on that because it really legitimately did not make that much sense at all. And I'm going to go through a couple more comments and let's get into the wedding now, guys. But everybody's here is happy for Tommaso Ciampa. Malcolm Mitchell says that he got busted open on that Ciampa dive. Did he not put his hands out? How did he get busted open with that? I'm assuming maybe he got kicked in the face, maybe a knee to the face. All right, I'll probably have to rewatch that part. Okay, I'll have to rewatch that. All right, let's see. Here we go. The wedding, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to spring through this really quickly, give some of the bullet points, and then we'll jump into your thoughts here. But Johnny Gargano gives away Indi Hartwell. They have all of the talent coming out. Well, not all of them, but a lot of people coming out. They're with the chairs. They're set up in the ring. Really nice little setup. Prior to this, they played a video package for Index. So good stuff there. They do have Dexter Lumis. They give him the middle name of Gaylord, which we touched on earlier during this. We have the priest essentially asking people, to speak now or forever hold their peace. And a bunch of people raise their hands up because they're like, everybody's thinking the exact same thing. The big elephant in the room is Indi Hartwell is murdering possibly not just her stalker, but also possibly a serial killer. So a lot of people put their hands up, but Dexter Lumis just casually opens up his coat jacket, and in his coat jacket, he has the axe, and he's kind of just like flashing it to everybody. So obviously everybody, puts their hands down, and the wedding progresses. And then Indi Hartwell reads her vows, and she puts him over for being great. And she says that, she knows people see him one way, but she sees him a totally other way. And then instead of Dexter Lumis giving his vows, he just extends a thumbs up, and he says that's his vow. So the priest is like, she just poured Indi Hartwell just poured out her heart to you, and all you have to say is thumbs up. So this obviously, angers Dexter Lumis. He grabs the priest and he puts him to sleep. The priest is knocked out there. So Beth Phoenix steps in, and Beth Phoenix basically says that she felt something was going to go down like this. So she decided to ordain herself as a minister. So she ends up calling the rest of the wedding as the minister herself. And in the end, we get to see Dexter Lumis speak, and he says, "I do." And so they pronounce both Indi Hartwell and Dexter Lumis husband and wife. So that was pretty much the wedding. And it wasn't bad. I've seen worse weddings. It was not bad, guys. We got people basically saying that this wedding was comedic gold. Crifter points out that Lumis getting ready for his wedding with his wedding hatchets. God, wedding hatchets, guys. Jeremy says Dexter threatening everyone with his axe was funny. And that was funny. Everybody seemed to like that, actually. Cameron says the axe part was comedy gold. Second best, Beth stepping in. It was so random, but really funny. Yeah, she's playing off really well off of this story. Ultimate Bulldog says, I hate how Johnny Gargano and Candice are reduced to comedy acts. Two talented wrestlers to be doing stuff like this, in my opinion. It seems like Johnny Gargano is enjoying himself. I will say that. He seems to be enjoying himself. Perfectly fine with that. I wasn't crazy about it, but he seems to be having a good time. At least that's what it seems like. And let's see what else we got here. We got a comment from Darth Steven 77 who says he's a big fan of Indi Hartwell and is a huge supportive of her. I said this last week, and I'll say this again. I think out of everybody from the way and out of everybody involved in this storyline, she has definitely benefited the most from it, from everybody. And we can't forget William Regal's facial expressions. Jeremy points this out, and yeah, that was pretty hilarious as well. Alrighty, guys. Lastly, the show closes out with Tommaso Ciampa, who is shown backstage watching the wedding on the TV, and then Braun Breaker comes in, and essentially they end up shaking hands. They end up having a moment. Braun says congrats to him for winning the title, and they pretty much tease that it looks like Braun might be going after that NXT championship at some point, or I don't know when, but at some point. All right, guys, that was the show. That was NXT 2.0, the premiere. I want to thank each and every single person here who tuned into the show. I appreciate you guys all so very, very much. I had a good time talking about today's show. I hope you guys had a good time listening about today's show. I will see you guys back here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. And then once again, I will be back on Friday to do the live Q&A. So please make sure that you guys tune in for that as well. If you haven't already, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online. And if you haven't already, also make sure to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.